Hey everybody, it's Chugga Conroy! Welcome back to more Kid Icarus Uprising. In the last episode, we took on Hades, the Lord of the Underworld, and fought for every living thing everywhere. And because we're still standing here making this video, I'm pretty sure you know which way it went. If that wasn't an indication, this video is going to be full of spoilers. So if you have not finished Kid Icarus Uprising yourself or watched my Let's Play of it, preferably played the game yourself, you might want to hold off on this, because there are a lot of extras that I'm going to be going over here. Pretty much everything you unlock after having finished the game, or just anything that I've been meaning to follow up on, is going to be here. First off is the treasure hunt. After defeating Hades, you get this, Hades Treasure Hunt. These are the hardest achievements in the game, and there's 120 of them. Let's see, clear chapter 15 in clear chapter 25 within 15 minutes on intensity 7.5 or higher. Perform 1,000 melee attacks. Defeat 10,000 enemies. Acquire all arms. Clear Chapter 20 using a bow on Intensity 9. Clear all chapters on 9.0. That's the kind of stuff you're dealing with Hades. And I did say that I wasn't going to go out of my way to get every last one of these achievements, because I would have to play all the stages on 9 with a specific weapon to do it, and I don't want to replay all those chapters. Just because, you know, that wouldn't really be fun to watch me just do everything again. And I'd like to show you what pictures you get for completing these boards. There aren't any actual rewards, you just get like a little stamp up in the corner showing that you completed it, and that's pretty much it. This is the picture for Palutena, this is the picture for Viridi, and this is the picture for Hades. For those that are curious, I have 100%ed Palutena and Viridi's boards on my own time. I think there were only 17 squares on Hades' board that I could never get, but I did get really, really close to completing all this stuff. I am honestly kind of impressed I made it that far, to be honest. In addition, on screen right now, I'll be showing some weapons that you can obtain through getting achievements. There's a bunch of these, and they have varying ways to unlock them. Some are easy, some are hard. A bunch of them I collected in the Let's Play, but there were a few that I didn't, so I just would like to make note of them all in one place right here. But culminating in all this is the weapon that I've alluded to many, many times. The Palutena Bow. This is Pit's weapon on the box art and in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, the one that everybody wanted me to talk about, but I just never really had a good time to talk about it because you can't unlock it until Chapter 24. The Palutena Bow is the more powerful silver bow that I kept alluding to. But yes, there are some weapons you can only get through completing these various challenges. And that brings me to the vault next, the Power Portrait. This is as complete as I got it, and when it's complete, it looks like this. If you're having trouble completing it, odds are that you are not playing multiplayer enough, because there are some powers you can only get through Together mode. I will show those on screen right now. They are random if you get them in Together mode. I believe that winning increases your chances of getting things, but it's not outright required, just so long as you keep playing. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. And speaking of Together mode, I should mention that I won't be covering that in this video. I still want to do random online matches with you guys for footage, to gather footage for explaining how the mode works. I still do plan to do that, and I will let you guys know when I plan to do that. But I also do want to have some matches that are with friends and other Let's Players, some of which don't have 3DS capture units, and I'm in the process of getting more capturing units so that I can show both sides of the action when I do those videos. I just thought it would kind of be a nice courtesy thing that I could do whenever I tackle that, so that's why I'm not doing Together mode in this video. So I'll be covering everything but that. Back into the vault, however, is the offering. As you would guess, when we got Palutena back, Palutena's offering returned. But Viridi's offering went away. Are those hearts we spent on Viridi wasted? I did say that your hearts to Palutena would mean something eventually, but after defeating Hades, you get this, Hidden Options. You now have the ability to switch between Palutena's domain and Viridi's domain whenever you want. I'm kind of more partial to Viridi, personally. Not just because she's one of my favorite characters, but I just like the music and atmosphere of Viridi's domain more than Palutena's, even though Pit is more at home, I suppose, than Palutena's. You know what I mean. So, you now have 2 offerings to the goddess that you can work on if you really have that many disposable hearts. Not only that, but Hidden Options also gives you the ability to turn on and off dialogue. And you might be going like, oh, Chugga, why would you ever want to do that? You know, the dialogue is so well written, it's funny, these characters are great, and the voice acting's surprisingly good. I had some people actually wondering if I was going to play the whole game with the dialogue off on a completed save file, but I, of course, chose not to do that because I just like these characters way too much to mute them. The reason for this is that a lot of those challenges, especially in Hades' board, are nuts. There's stuff like clear chapters on Intensity 2 without getting hit. Stuff like that. There's some really ridiculous ones. You might be playing those chapters again and again and again and again to get it right, and as good as the dialogue is, it can get a little bit grating. Except when you're listening to Pyron. He never gets old. Okay, this is gonna be kind of long, so I could understand some people getting bored and just kind of wanting to skip ahead of this because I do have other things that I want to cover, so just letting you know as a warning, this section of the video is gonna be long because I wanted to go into big detail about this because I've never been able to find a video that goes into great detail about the cards. So, let's do this. First and foremost, when you obtain a copy of Kid Icarus Uprising, assuming that it's brand new or that you didn't do anything naughty to obtain it, won't go into specifics, you will get 6 cards free with the game. You are guaranteed Pit and Palatinus. Those two are nice and easy. Everyone who owns the game has those 2 cards. Your third card, however, is going to be of a major character. It's not set in stone. It can randomly be one of 3 cards: Medusa, Magnus, or Dark Pit. So, those are all pretty cool cards. Personally, I like the art on Medusa a lot. That one looks awesome. Anyway, your fourth card is going to be a boss monster. It can be Twin Bellows the Ferocious, Dark-Lord Gal, or Three-Headed Hudra. Fifth card is going to be an underworld monster. It can be Mono-Eye, Mick, or Stackjaw. I kind of would have gone with Specknose, to be perfectly honest, because that would kind of complete the trinity of the, you know, the eyes, the mouth, and the nose. But for some reason, they went with one that's eyes and a mouth. I don't get it. And then your last card is where things are going to get really needlessly complicated. You're going to be getting a weapon card. And there is 1 weapon card for every weapon type in the game, meaning you're going to be getting a random card out of a set of 9. These are the First Blade, Insight Staff, Tiger Claws, Fortune Bow, Violet Palm, Ore Club, Easy Cannon, Standard Orbiters, and Crusher Arm. Thing is, you can obtain these cards pretty easily in Europe outside of copies of the game because they redistributed these weapon cards in other ways. However, here in America, they didn't do that. Pretty much the only way that you can get these cards is either from buying multiple copies of the game or from being one of the lucky few that won those sweepstakes from Nintendo where they gave away complete sets of the game, which really good luck getting those. So these 9 cards are very tough to obtain if you're here in America. You can import them from Europe and scan them into your American game. That feature's not region-locked. I'm sure which other features on the 3DS weren't. Okay, enough about that. No one ever wants to part with these because you can only get them with copies of the game. I never see them listed on eBay. In fact, I think only 2 of these actually came from eBay. And yeah, in a way, you kind of have a rare card already if you bought the game. So really nice. Hang on to that one. But 6 cards isn't enough for anyone. You want more. More! I know I sure did. So, the most traditional way of collecting cards in anything ever, booster packs. If you want to know more about the booster packs, though, and their specifics, there are 2 series of booster packs, Series 1 and Series 2. You can look down in the corner to see which series it is. Series 1 cards only contain cards that are from the Medusa arc of the story, so only chapters 1 through 9. If you want anything that appears beyond that point in the game, that is what Series 2 is. Series 2 has far more cards than Series 1, and I also should mention that the card 3 Sacred Treasures, despite being technically something that appears in the Medusa arc, it is not considered part of Series 1. I want to talk about that card separately a little bit later, but for now, let's just focus on the booster packs themselves. Now, if you live in Japan and Europe, you could just go to the store and buy booster packs. And in fact, if you were in Europe, you had the really nice benefit of being able to just use your Club Nintendo Stars to buy booster packs without having to spend any additional money aside from what you'd already spent on games. Really nice, isn't it? Well, here in America, we're special. You know what you had to do to get booster packs? You had to go to Nintendo events. Yeah, and anybody who was a fan of Pokemon like in the 90s and like early 2000s, you know how that is. You could go to GameStop, EA Games, or Best Buy on specific weekends, and there'd be Nintendo reps there handing out booster packs. 1 per person. Let's say that you were the common man, you bought a copy of the game, and you went to one of these events, and in a best-case scenario, they were giving away promo cards. You now own 19 cards, out of the 410 that they ever released. Yeah, utterly ridiculous, isn't it? They only ever held like 5 of these weekends ever, so in a best-case scenario, assuming you never got doubles, maybe you'd have like 50 cards or so. Maybe. If you wanted to get more booster packs than that, you know what you had to do? Because it's totally feasible for the common man to be able to do this, they expected you to go to PAX or Comic-Con. At these events, you would have to go to Nintendo's booth and play the game there. You could either use their kiosks or your own copy of the game. Clearing a chapter would net you 1 booster pack, and you could do it as many times as you wished. Playing multiplayer matches, a loss would net you 1, a win would net you 2. Yeah, you had to go through a mind-numbing process of grinding booster packs, basically, if you wanted to get a complete set here in America. What I did was, I got 2 people I knew rounded up, we formed a team of 3 on Light vs. Dark, and we just played matches over and over again for like an hour and a half, winning almost every time. In that way, we were able to get several hundred booster packs just sort of grinded up between us, and we just sort of opened them until all of us had complete sets, kept the remainder sealed, and then just sort of split them between us after the day was over. It was insane, and that's what I had to go through to get my booster pack. So yeah, Europeans, Japanese, feel very lucky because that's how it was to get these booster packs in America. But if there's any silver lining in this, if you live in the United States, at least feel lucky you don't live in Canada because they had it even worse than us. Those Nintendo events at like EB Games and Best Buy and GameStop, those were a lot more sparse in Canada. As in, I think there was one weekend where only 10 of them were held throughout all of Canada. But not all is lost. I said there were promotional giveaways. So there were some cards that are kind of easy to obtain because some promotional giveaways were done by a lot of people. Other ones are more rare, and if you happen to have them, you might want to hang on to them. First off, pre-order bonuses. In Canada, by pre-ordering the game, you'd get Fiend's Cauldron, which was a tough-to-get card here in America for a little while, so that was kind of nice for Canadians. I think you guys definitely deserve a silver lining in all this. In Europe, though, the country where you could buy booster packs, I might add, they gave you 24 cards for pre-ordering the game. Included in this was Power of Flight, which was a rare card here in America for a while. So, yeah, in the region where you can just buy the cards, they give you a pre-order bonus of 24 cards. Utterly ridiculous. Next up is magazines. If you have some of these old magazines laying around, you might have some Kid Icarus cards that you just didn't know you had. If you have issue 227 of Nintendo Power, it included Poseidon, God of Death Thanatos, and Medusa Battle, so you might have some of those cards laying around. Issue 228 of Game Informer had the Fiend's Cauldron as well. Getting into Japanese magazines, issue 1217 of Famitsu had a thing for the Forces of Nature because you could get Viridi, Cragalanche, Arlon, and Phosphora from that as well. In Europe, you could send away for cards through official Nintendo magazine, but I believe these offers are gone now. I just wanted to make a quick note of them. But I will be talking about a few of the cards that you can get through it later. Trust me, it'll be a little bit later just because I kind of want to give the cards that you could get through that special attention because they are ridiculous. As the very last thing I want to talk about when it comes to Series 1 and 2 cards, there's a bit of interesting trivia about the cards for Pit Palutena and Medusa, Queen of the Underworld. At E3 2011, Nintendo was giving away these cards as a promotional thing for the augmented reality features in the game, and you could actually try them out. In the final game, the cards look a little bit different than their E3 counterparts, as in the E3 counterparts don't have those little stained glass windows in the corner that the final game uses to authenticate the card with. Because of this, these cards are programmed separately so that it doesn't need that stained glass window, so you technically can forge those cards a little bit easier than other cards, as a little bit of a fun fact, I suppose. So, now that we're done with that, I want to talk about particularly rare cards. I would have put these under the same categories that I put the others in, but I believe that these deserve to be talked about individually on a card-by-card basis because they're just that crazy. Now, I'm going to be starting off with the card everyone hates and the one that I said I would talk about earlier, 3 Sacred Treasures. Here in America, there were 2 ways for you to obtain this card. Number 1. Be one of the first 250 customers who bought the game at Nintendo World on the game's launch date. I'm not joking. Number 2, win a tournament at PAX or Comic-Con on the year of the game's release and get a complete set of the cards from Nintendo, which would have included it. Nintendo also held an email sweepstakes where you could do this at one point in time, but seriously, good luck having one of those. As far as I know, only 260 of these are known to exist in the American version. Not only that, I think I only know one person who ever obtained one, and they paid over $200 for it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Whereas in Japan, all you had to do was buy the player's guide. And in Europe, you could send away for it an official Nintendo magazine, which is why I was saying I'd talk about that later as well. I hate you friggin' 3 Sacred Treasures. And by the way, that's why my 3 Sacred Treasures is European, because I'm not paying that much for an American card. The other category of really special cards are cards that are numbered 403 and higher. There are a few of these, and every one of them is either promotional, hard to obtain, or just all in all a really special card for one reason or another. Starting off is number 403, Pit Rally Cry. This is a pretty rare card. In the US, you can get it from promo packs at GameStop events and Best Buys. Best Buy's At Gamer Magazine issue 403 also included it. But for Europe, I have done so much research and digging, and all I can find is that it's an incredibly rare card in Europe, and people are willing to pay top dollar for it over there. I can't find out how it was distributed. I'll put an annotation on screen if somebody can inform me with, conclusive evidence that that is proof of how you obtain it, but I can't figure out how you obtain it in Europe. All I know is that it's incredibly rare. Number 404 is Palutena Rare. Ironically, this is one of the less rare cards in the set of cards over 403. You could get it in the US by just registering your game with Club Nintendo at the time the game was released. Over in Europe, it was an ultra-rare card you could obtain from booster packs. And actually, I should take a side moment to talk about this. European cards in booster packs had separate rarities. No wing in the corner meant it was a common card. A silver wing is an uncommon. A gold wing, as I've got right here on this Viridi, is a rare. And a Diamond Wing on Palutena Rare, as you would see in the European version, is an ultra rare, basically a secret rare, because this one's beyond number 402. Card number 405 is a strange case. There's a 404 and there's a 406, but there's no 405. And speaking of 406, Pit Wingless. This card was only ever released in Japan, and it's one of only 2 cards I couldn't obtain for this video. According to translations that I had done from Japanese Google and various fan sites, you could only obtain this card if you had a first edition print of the Japanese Player's Guide. No collector I know has it, no friend in Japan I know has it, and I've never seen one for sale. This was one card that I flat out just could never even find. 407, Dark Pit Flying, is one of the easier ones to obtain, actually. All you had to do here in America was buy the Prima Player's Guide of the game. You also would get the cards of Hades and Exotank. In Japan, you could also obtain this card, but I'm going to get to that in just a second because it was packaged in with another card that I've yet to talk about, and I think it's better to talk about it then. Card number 408, Pit Revived, was also only released in Japan, in addition to Pit Wingless. It was included in first edition prints of the official soundtrack, which was also Japan only, by the way. Yeah, real nice. Now, this is where things get kind of cool. Card number 409, Magnus and Gal, was a Japan-only card, but Americans might have an easy time obtaining this. At various anime conventions, you might have seen figures of Nintendo characters made by a company called Figma. Well, they made figures of Pit and Dark Pit. The Dark Pit Figma included this card with it. And actually, I happen to have it right here. There you go. Not only that, but card number 410, Pit Injured, was included with the Figma of Pit. 411's another oddball. It was never released. But you know what? I'm going to bet my second stomach, however I have one of those, that Sakurai sits on a throne of cards 405 and 411 while he's developing Smash Brothers and just has that huge grin across his face, knowing that we will never have it, but he is sitting on a throne made of them. Alright, and now for the final card that is known to exist. Card number 412, Tachibune, or as it is known if you scan it into the American version of the game, Kid Icarus Float. There were 2 parades in Japan that featured a Kid Icarus Uprising float around the time the game launched. During the months in which these 2 parades took place, you could obtain this card from nearby stores and stands. It is widely considered the rarest card, and it is the other card I could not obtain for this video. No collector I knew had it, no friend I had in Japan had it. I was able to find a few of these for sale, and the absolute cheapest one I could find for sale was $160, and this was after I'd already given up looking, mind you. While I was actively trying to find one, they were fetching like $240 on eBay, and it just like, I like going all out for these videos and leaving no stone unturned because I like covering everything, but it was kind of just too much for me at that point, and as such, I'm just going to show you a scan of the card on screen, because that's pretty much it. But that does it. That is everything that I wanted to talk about in the way of Kid Icarus cards. I don't think I left any stone unturned. If I did, be sure to let me know, tweet at me, leave a comment, do whatever. But aside from that, there are some people I need to thank. 4 people, in fact. And while I'm thanking them, help yourself to this complete set of Kid Icarus cards that you can point your 3DS camera at and scan. You're probably going to need to full screen the video and up the quality to make it work, but hey, this is every last Kid Icarus card aside from the 2 that I wasn't able to obtain, which you can scan the pictures of earlier in this video. So that's pretty much it. First off, I need to thank King Nintendo fanboy Justin Bruby for loaning me some of the starter weapon cards. Those are some of the most difficult ones to obtain. He happened to have a complete set in his possession, and he was kind enough to loan me 3 of the cards from it. Second, also for weapon cards, I need to thank Nickel and Nintendo for sending me the remaining ones I was unable to obtain. In fact, pretty much any European card you've seen in this video that is not the 3 Sacred Treasures was a loan from her, so I very much appreciate that, because those are, once again, are very hard to obtain in America. I have said in America so many times here because I'm specifying regions here. Third, I need to thank Gilva Center, aka Timmy Turner's dad, for outright giving me the Pit Revived card that comes with the official soundtrack. That was a card I thought I would be unable to obtain at all when making this video. But he happened to have a first edition print of the soundtrack in his possession because he collects OSTs, and he was fine with just giving me the card because he didn't really want it anyway. So that is awesome. Thank you so much. And then last, I need to thank Lonely Days 17 for trying to send me an Ore Club. I say trying because it got lost in the mail, and I felt really bad about that. I think it found its way back to her, but I still felt really bad that it got lost in the mail, and that it was pretty much all for nothing in the end, but I still really do appreciate the effort, so thank you so much for that. And yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and leave you guys this complete set of cards. Feel free to scan any of them once again, and I'll see you guys on the other end of this complete set. Alright, there's a few things left that I want to talk about. First off, I'm going to be saving conversations and treasure chests that I didn't get to show in the LP for another time. It's just that so much time has gone into this video, I have had so much to talk about already, and it's running really, really long, and frankly, I don't really have the time to play through those chapters all over again right now at the moment. I do still plan on covering them someday, just as I do with the Together mode, but it's going to be saved for another time. So, for those of you that were wondering about that, that's how that's going to be. Now, I do have at least one silver lining here. I do want to show what happens in Chapter 25, should you fail specific portions of the stage.
Looks like your little toy isn't so great after all.
Snap out of it, Pit! Pit! Wake up!
Since you've been such a great adversary, I've saved my deadliest attack just for you! I do hope you enjoy it.
I feel an outside force, a godlike force, gathering power. Not so fast! You have to wait until the gun is fully charged. Pit, you have to wait until the gun is completely charged. Resist the urge to fire randomly.
So there you go. There are the alternate scenes and dialogue that you can get in Chapter 25 through doing various things wrong. Now, before we end this off, I should give a mention to Boss Battle Mode. This unlocks after you've defeated Hades on any difficulty whatsoever. Boss battles can be played on easy, normal, or hard. It doesn't have the same 0 through 9 intensity as other stages do. This mode's not really anything special. It's just flat out that you fight the 24 chapter bosses, you do not fight Hades at the end, and you get an achievement for clearing each difficulty. I don't really feel like it's worth a separate playthrough so much as it is worth just a footnote. But what I think is worth a little more than a footnote is something that I kept saying that I would talk about throughout the Let's Play, but I don't think I ever had a good opportunity to talk about it. And that is Pyron's voice actor. Pyron is voiced by Troy Baker, somebody who I believe needs no introduction as he is one of the best in the industry, incredibly talented man who has voiced countless characters in video games, TV shows, and movies. Now, the reason why I think this is such a big deal is that Troy Baker voiced one other character in Kid Icarus Uprising, and I was saying I didn't think you would ever guess it. He voiced Arlon the Serene. Dude, this guy is... I know that he's talented, I know he has loads of experience, but how does one voice Pyron and Arlon and sound like... You can't hear either of them in either performance. Like, he did an amazing job with that. It's just like, you know, how does one go, villains are no match for Pyron, and then go like, I am proud to represent Mistress Verity. That was horrible. I even screwed up the word represent. I am so sorry to disgrace the greatness that is Troy Baker. But yeah, that's it. So, that's everything I wanted to talk about. I will see you guys back here later this week for my next Let's Play. See you guys then.